We have talked about what division means in class. We've also discovered what keywords to look for in story problems that will tell us to divide. Let's practice with some story problems now. Here's the first story. Mrs. Sims has 14 pumpkins that she is sorting into 2 equal groups. One group has rotten pumpkins, while the other group has pumpkins that are in great condition for carving. How many pumpkins are in each group? In this story, we can use the strategy that you are used to using, which is drawing a picture. I know that I need to make 2 groups. One for rotten pumpkins, so I'll label it R, and one for pumpkins that are good for carving. I'll label it G. So I can draw 2 circles and label them. Now I can move 1 pumpkin at a time into the 2 circles until all of the pumpkins are gone. At the end, I'll easily be able to see that there are 7 pumpkins in each circle. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So how many pumpkins are in each group? The answer is 7. But I have a new strategy that I want to show you. It's called using multiplication to divide. Since division and multiplication are inverse operations, I can use my knowledge about multiplication to help me divide. In a sharing situation like the story we just read, I want you to think about the largest amount that you can put in each group at one time. This will be beneficial when you're working with larger numbers. Here's the same story again. Mrs. Sims has 14 pumpkins that she is sorting into 2 equal groups. One group has rotten pumpkins, while the other group has pumpkins that are in great condition for carving. How many pumpkins are in each group? I first need to think about what the question is asking. I think it's asking me to compute 14 divided by 2, which can be written like this. 14 divided by 2. Instead of putting 1 pumpkin at a time in each group, this time I want to think about putting more than 1. Let's try putting 4 pumpkins in each group at a time. If I put 4 pumpkins in 2 groups, that's like saying 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. So that means I've taken care of 8 of the pumpkins out of the 14 that need to be sorted. 14 minus 8 is 6. I still have 6 pumpkins that I need to sort into 2 groups. 6 pumpkins that need to be sorted into 2 groups. Now I can think about pulling 3 pumpkins at a time into the 2 groups. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Since I've taken care of those 6 and placed them into groups, they no longer need to be categorized, so I can subtract them out of my total. Once I'm down to 0, that lets me know that there are 0 pumpkins left that need to be sorted into groups. Now I just need to look at how many groups of 2 I've made. I've made 4 groups of 2 and 3 groups of 2, which is 7 groups of 2. 7 groups of 2 is equal to 14. So that means there are 7 pumpkins in each group. I've just used multiplication to divide. Here's the next story. Your new strategy will really help you here. 96 4th grade students at Town Center are preparing to go on a field trip to a science museum. They will need to be separated into equal groups of 6 for a special project at the museum. How many groups will there be? I need to make groups of 6 out of 96 students. That's the same as saying 96 divided by 6. Let's use multiplication to divide. Instead of moving 1 student at a time into groups, let's use a friendly number to multiply. I can do 6 times 10 and I know that's equal to 60. I've now made 10 groups of 6 students. I've taken care of or accounted for 60 of my students. So that means I only have 36 more students that need to be placed in a group. I can think of what times 6 is equal to 36. Can you think of it? That's right. 6 times 6 is equal to 36. So I've now removed 36 more students that need to be placed into groups. Now they're in groups. There are no more students left that need to be put in groups. So I know that I've accounted for the 96 students. Now I just need to think of how many groups of 6 did I make. I made 10 groups of 6 and then another 6 groups of 6. So 6 times 16 is equal to 96. I've taken care of the 6 and I've taken care of the 96. So that means there are 16 groups total. I just used multiplication to divide again. Let's try another one. Before getting back on the school bus, students can shop at the gift shop. Alexandria, Fabechi, and Sharon bought a bag of toy insects to share. There are 57 insects in the bag. How many insects will each of the kids get if they divide them equally? Okay, I have 57 toy insects and 3 students who want their fair share. Would it be sensible for me to draw 57 bugs and then sort them into groups of 3? No. Let's use multiplication to divide. I have 57 insects that I need to divide amongst 3 people. I want to think about not giving those insects up one at a time, but I'm going to give each of the 3 students 10 insects to begin with. That means 30 of the insects have been given away. There are only 27 left to be given away. I know that I can give away 9 more bugs to each of the 3 students. 3 times 9 is 27. So that means all 57 bugs have been spoken for. If I'm dividing them amongst 3 people, I have to think about how many groups of 3 did I make. I made 19. I took 10 groups of 3 and then 9 groups of 3. 3 times 9 should be equal to 57. Or 3 times 19, sorry, 19 groups. Last example. While driving back to town center, we drove past the new Zen Zero bakery and longingly looked in the window. There were 68 cupcakes arranged in 4 equal rows. How many cupcakes were on each row? This story is asking me how many cupcakes were on each row when they were divided into 4 rows. If I have 4 rows and 68 cupcakes, I want to use multiplication to divide here also. So I'm going to think about putting 12 cupcakes on each of the 4 rows, divide them out equally. If I take away 12 of those cupcakes 4 times, that's 48 cupcakes that have been distributed. Now I have 20 cupcakes left that I need to put in groups of 4. So 4 times what is equal to 20? That's right, 4 times 5 is equal to 20. If I put them in groups, I can separate them from my large group. Now I just need to ask myself, how many groups of 4 did I make? I made 12 groups of 4, then 5 more groups of 4. So 4 times 17 must be equal to 68. 17 cupcakes on each row. I know that my answer is correct because all of the numbers of my fact family are present. 4, 17, and 68. Remember, this strategy is called using multiplication to divide.